When it comes to championships, it's not about how well you do on your best days. It's about how well you do on the days where it doesn't quite click. That is what this championship is all about, and why the championship has changed from Phillip Island over to where we are today. A circuit which is super duper underrated, a track which has its cult following, a track which is a land of motoring genius. Welcome to Aragon. Welcome to the Sunday Grand Prix series with your Lotus 79s. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone watching around the world. My name is Jake Sperry. Joey Atterbury is alongside me for today's action, with Ryan Bauer sitting in the director's chair. He's using the cameras provided by Dougie Beard as we look forward to Spain's fantastic circuit opened on the track design by both Herman Tilke and Pedro de la Rosa. But to get an understanding of what makes this track not only a motoring genius in terms of what we have to get through today, we've got an understanding of this track from the ground up. Let's take a look at our GSRC track guide to see all the peaks and troughs of the circuit.
Welcome to Motorland Aragon. About an hour and a half west of the Mediterranean coast, this scenic but dusty course is a more recent addition to the Spanish motorsports landscape. Built to replace a dangerous street circuit in the nearby town, it's become a hub of modern racing for the country. Motorcycles are its most famous draw, but it does see sports cars and lower-level open-wheelers visit frequently. Plus, its warm climate makes it ideal for winter testing. Its 7 layouts range between 1.5 to just over 3 miles with 12 to 18 turns. Its most iconic feature is no doubt the towering wall between turns 7 and 13 that accentuate the dramatic elevation changes. However, the difficult Sacacorchos chicane easily has the greatest drop over the shortest period. Reminiscent of Laguna Seca's corkscrew, this right-left flick leads onto a pretty long acceleration zone, even in the GP layout, so it'll be important to get that exit right. Expect most passes into turn 1 are down at the hairpin of 16. But for those who haven't gotten enough of high-speed sweepers, the motorcycle and outer layouts include one final blast uphill and into a tricky late apex. Technical and picturesque, Aragon offers up a little bit of everything and is a versatile facility. It's easy to see why it was quickly embraced by both Spanish fans and race fans worldwide.
Now, we know that Aragon is the sort of circuit that certainly brings a lot of drivers a bit of joy when they grab themselves around this circuit. This is a track which is all about the run coming out of Marc Marquez and onto that long back stretch. And with the outer layout today, Joey, this is all about slipstream. This is a wait-and-see track.
Absolutely, and you look at it, it really has two faces to it. Yes, that huge monster back straightaway, but before you even get there, the first half of the track, very medium speed, higher downforce, dare I say. So I think we're going to see a little bit of a mix of the downforce levels between the drivers who are more comfortable with a loose car and the ones that want that top end speed down the straightaway, or the ones that are going to settle for the higher downforce setup so they're more comfortable in the first half, but definitely going to suffer down that long back straightaway. And even the final turn here, Jake, I know that you were commenting, you got to watch out on the exit. It is incredibly fast around that one.
It is. It's not only fast as you try and balance it through the corner, trying to get as much drive off of the exit as possible, but you have to be alert to running too wide off the exit because that's where the slowdown penalties do find themselves through. Now, the gap at the top of the championship is 7 points only at this moment in time. That's where Timothy Reed holds himself over Juanmi Costa. That dichotomy changing over the course of last week at Phillip Island. Geno Fritz, the legend, is third overall as things stands, with Kimo Villakainen fourth, having 2 drop rounds in the back pocket. Dylan Freckleton is fifth ahead of Nathan Finnegan, with Juho Reiner in 7th place, just 5 points behind the 6th place driver. Jason Clapper is in 8th position in an incredible three-way battle with Phil Reed in 9th, the controller WizKid, and then you got Jack David Spickett, JDS, there, just 9 points off of that 8th place. Joey, you've been keeping an eye out on the F2 standings.
Yeah, really, it's Barry West that's starting to run away with it. He's got a decent gap over Keith Herner in 2nd place. And then look at that. Both of those front two really have gapped it out over the 3rd place battle, but tied up between Pablo Suarez and Thomas Silbernagel for that 3rd place position. And then only a handful of points separating the next group. Sam Ryerman, Arturo Amro, Robert Simpkins, Kurt Clapper, they are all involved in that battle for the 5th place. And it even goes back, Andrew Thomas, Miguel Moreland, only separated by 4 points themselves. So I think that with a handful of rounds left here, the F2 championship just going to continue to battle.
It is, and it will do throughout the season. After the end of this race, we'll be 2/3 of the way through the season, but we've got to get through Motorland Aragon first. 26 laps, sorry, I should say, that we've got to race here today. Completely open setup, which means that everybody's going to have a slightly different interpretation of how quick their car can go here around this 4.99 kilometer layout that we are running today. Now, there's no spare car either, so if they run into troubles during any of the 26 laps here today, that's it. It's gone. Race over. And as with every iRacing official server, it's a drive-through penalty at 17 instant points, and disqualification finds itself at 25. So that is pretty much as bog standard as it can possibly get around this place today. As with every time we go and qualify, Joey, there is 8 minutes to set a time. There are 2 laps that you have available to you, and this is a driver's eye view here around the opening sectors here with your championship leader, Timothy Reed.
Timothy Reed on his 2nd qualifying lap, and this is still in the first half of that section. You see kind of more medium speed, and this is the different downforce levels we're going to see slower through this section here, only about 80 miles an hour. But Jake, here's where it all begins.
Oh, yes, because you're having to wind up, use the downforce that's there, keep the wheel as straight as possible, that Momo wheel, as much as you can, because you've got this long sweep, still sweeping as you go around, and now you're finally there at top speed. Some drivers are going to go for a higher downforce setup to give themselves some grip in the early phases. Others are going to go for a high-speed setup today, are going to look to try and really attack that long back stretch, which you absolutely mash full throttle, dancing through the final corner, having to try and get it together. 25.4 his best time so far. That is not an improvement. That is a 25.6. So Timothy Reed cannot go out and improve. Someone who could, though, is this guy, Jono Freacher.
And he is just on that long back straightaway. I mean, check this thing out. You come out of that sweeping corner and you look down. Does it ever end down here?
No. I'm convinced that this is a forever straight, and you'll find out when you hit the brakes. It's only a light tap, 290, dancing down. This is where you got to go through and scrub the speed down to 170 kilometers an hour, back up off the power, wiggle off the exit from Jono. Absolutely pushing, and I think that will be that in terms of his lap time there. So a 25.6 not going to improve him on his 3rd position. Maybe Jack David Spickett has a chance to improve on his times too. But look at the qualifying at the moment. Juho Reiner has a fantastic qualifying time. He's currently 2nd.
Yeah, Reina up in 2nd, Freesia 3rd, but right now, provisional pole, that rocket ship of the number 1 car, Juan Mi Costa. I'm noticing here, JDS down the back straightaway. I was trying to watch the mile per hour between some of these cars. He's topping out at about 184 miles an hour in his specific setup.
Yeah, so Pepsi Man looking for a Pepsi plan, heading to the line. It's a short run to the line, and it does improve a 26.1. That goes 7th fastest, so that's not bad at all for Jack David Spickett, and I believe that puts everybody then across the line in qualifying. So the grid is going to stack up as follows. It will be Juan Mi Costa on the pole position, a 124.912, only driver in the 24s, with Juho Reiner alongside for company. Jono Freacher and Timothy Reed make up 3rd and 4th on the grid, with Pepe Fuentes in 5th and Dylan Freckleton lining up in 6th position. Jack David Spickett is complaining that he's got too little wing out there, and he is there in 7th with Nathan Finnegan in 8th place. Javier Mosquera lines up 9th as Tim Britton rounds out the top 10.
And then we have another handful of drivers here in this top split. Sam Ryman in 11th, Miguel Moreland 12th, Keith Herner in 13th place, Barry West 14th, Cam Porter with a top 15, Gerard Boldu in 16th, and then the one car that did not put down a qualifying time that will start at the back, Jason Clapper in 17th.
Yeah, so the number 11 driver is going to have to go from the back if he wants to get these results. That's the track temperatures at the moment. It's 94 degrees Fahrenheit. Air temp is 88 Fahrenheit. Look at the winds, though. In from the west, that's going to be rather crucial in terms of the way that the track is sort of kicking about with a westerly wind coming into play. That should be, for these drivers, a tailwind on the straight, Joey.
It should be, but I think the biggest thing that I saw between the wind and the track temperatures, those are tricky conditions that they're going to have to face out here, especially with the downforce levels, the varying downforce levels we are expecting to see. It's going to affect every car differently.
It will. It depends on how highly strung some of these machines are as we find ourselves here in northern Spain, finding out what makes this circuit absolutely fantastic in terms of a driving showcase. It was only built in 2005 as we get, or 2009 actually, I think is when it first opened. It was first designed in 2005, but an incredible track that is there, and it's really highlighted the scene of racing over in Spain, and there has been a big push in recent months and years to get more Spanish content here on iRacing. They have the 2 minutes to grid themselves up for these 26 laps worth of racing action, 17 cars over 2 splits, dueling it out for as many points as they can possibly get their hands on. But Juanmi Costa is on the pole position and looks like he is absolutely rocket ship ready to go through, but he's got the Finn in Juho Reiner alongside for company. What could he do as a spanner in the works in the championship as well? Timothy Reed is 4th. Watch out for the drive off the line as we get ourselves underway for racing action. A fantastic launch from about the 4th row, but it's comfortable through the top. Turn 1! Timothy Reed goes around. Championship leader spins it and collects somehow nobody.
Yeah, unfortunate for him, but he is back on the racetrack as Juanmi Costa trying to run away with the Juho Reiner, giving chase. Mr. Freesia in 3rd place, and then Dylan Freckleton with a fantastic start, up 2 spots already.
This race will give, and this championship will take it away. Down the hill, looking now for the very, very difficult, I would say, billock-style section of the track. It is a scythe that you go through. It's very tough. Down the hill hairpin that you look to try and just attack along the curve off of the exit, and this is where you start sensing who's got what and how much has the downforce levels played a factor here as they head now for this long straight. Who's going to get an advantage in a straight line? But Juanmi Costa, it won't matter for him at the moment. He is checking out at the front of this field.
And I'm checking his top speed. It's about 175 miles an hour. Everybody giving chase. Actually, Gernot Freesia, the fastest in the straight line, 183 out of the number 2 car.
Oh, but you can see how he struggled there through the middle of the corner with the dirty air effect. And that's going to put him in a little bit of a pickle in terms of trying to keep that through. 1 lap then in the books, 1 second to the good is Juanmi Costa at this moment on board with Javier Mosquera in 8th position, trying to move up another one, and behind there is trouble because it looks like Tim Britton now has found himself around.
Almost an identical to spin to what we saw our leader earlier. Just a little bit too much speed into turn 1, and the rear stepped out on Tim Britton.
And you have to remember as well, when you go into turn 1, the brakes are at their absolute coldest through that section of the road. Now, we'll take another replay here. This is what happened to Timothy Reed off of the start of this race. This is how quickly it all went wrong for him. This is why turn 1, he pivots down the inside, and he just loses the rears around. And that is something you don't often get to see. Now, this is Tim Britton, and this should be, here, Joey, a carbon copy.
I would expect so, and the tires are just getting up to temperature. Ooh, a little bit different there. It looks like Tim Britton actually missed his brake marker, just kind of blew turn one altogether.
I think we need another look on lap 2 now here with Timothy Reed, because he's been involved in an incident with Keith Herner and Barry West. So that is troubles down at the very, very difficult turn 9 out on the track. So this is going to be here on the GSRC replay, exactly where it goes wrong. And Timothy Reed is a bystander in this. Keith Herner down the hill is going to look to try and go through on the inside, runs into the back of Barry West, and that's a heavy hit there, and it completely disintegrates there, the front right of his front wing.
And I'm looking at his car. He still has that damage. In fact, he just went off the track. I think that he's pulled it off to the side. Timothy Reed going to DNF here today.
He'll have to use it as one of his 2 drop rounds for the championship. That is a huge shift in momentum to Juanmi Costa, who is at the front of this field and almost 2 seconds clear up in front of Juho Reiner and Gernot Fritzsche in 3rd place. The race is on right now around Pepe Fuentes. We go on board with Jack David Spickett. JDS has his eyes on Nathan Finnegan, and he himself with Fuentes just in front. You are dancing on that inside curve, hoping to take the path of least resistance down the hill and then attack off the exit.
These cars make their grip in the downforce levels. That means you got to have the speed wound up in order to get that grip. And when you're in those slow speed sections, it's just not there. Combine that with the low downforce that Jack David Spickett is running, well, pays off in a straight line, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, it does. Easy as you like. Makes it past Nathan Finnegan, going 3:01 on the straight in kilometers an hour. Looking to move now through the difficult final 2 corners of 13 and 14, trying to maximize the exit as much as possible. Not going to have too much to worry about then as they start their 4th lap and hit the brakes into the very, very difficult turn 1 out on track. Very much 90-degree left-hander, has that massive similarity with the opening section of track at the Istanbul City Circuit.
Well, you could draw a few parallels. You know, there's a few 90-degree turn 1s. Some of them are pointed the other direction, though, on some of the European circuits. And here we go. Down more. I'm sorry, I was a couple corners early. Even I'm still getting used to this track over here, Jay.
Yes, it's very much a prolonged and delayed reaction as wide goes JDS, Jack David Spickett. They will now attack down the hill, and you've got to be aware of everyone that's around you. And Jack, ooh, he's sliding it about down the hill using all of what he's got. He's got next to no downforce on that car, and he was needing all of the mechanical grip.
I think we saw him complaining that he might have taken out a little bit too much downforce pre-race here, but the one thing that's nice is down the straightaway, he doesn't have to worry about anybody. Nathan Finnegan, who was challenging him behind him, is actually losing ground in the slipstream to that number 6.
Oh, that's so demoralizing for a driver, isn't it? You're tucked up underneath, you've got an opportunity to attack, but the car in front of you is faster and is punching a hole in front of you. That's where you just have to put your hands up and say, I've got nothing.
Well, yeah, and I would say there's 2 philosophies to a racetrack like this, is that there's the philosophy to go run away with a medium downforce if you can be that fast and break that slipstream, or have a setup like Jack David Spickett where it might not be as fast in qualifying, but when it comes to be race time, man, you've got a dominant car that kind of just puts others in their place.
It doesn't matter how much time you lose in this section. If you're within a range, or if you can keep yourself within a range with cars that are similar to you, you may as well trim it down, get as much downforce off the car as possible, and be as slippery on a straight as you can. Now, here is Barry West in 11th position. Your F2 championship leader has a couple of drivers in front who look like they're about to take some points away from him if it stays like this. Miguel Morland and Samuel Ryman are both on course right now to take points away from Barry West, who is everybody's favourite as he takes the long lap loop penalty, almost it seemed there, as he went through the very difficult turn 9.
And I'm also curious, you saw Barry West run wide there. I wonder if these cars were getting high-centered on those alligator curves. You got to be careful of that because it will spin you around. And looks like we got a change for 4th place up here. Pepe Fuentes taking it really deep on the final corner, outgoing with Dylan Freckleton.
Oh, but Freckleton's got the over-under. He's overdone it. The Isle of Man hat on as he's got a look. And there is Pepe Fuentes. What are you looking at going into the opening corner? The answer is the road in front of me. I'm ahead.
Yeah, nice job, Dylan Freckleton, just hanging on to it, but that has drawn up the likes of that low downforce car, that Pepsi machine, now starting to lick his chops a little bit.
Oh, I'd lick my chops if I had a Pepsi in front of me right now. Other beverages are available. Now, here we go. Up the hill, looking to try and find a little bit of a braking zone. Got a turn and brake here around turn 7. It's always very difficult. Up and over the crest. And now you descend to one of the lowest points of the circuit. Turns 8 and 9 as you dive down the hill. Looking for drive off the exit. Pepe Fuentes absolutely inch to perfection in terms of the way that he has driven that, and he will look to try and find himself an opportunity. And now I will dance, dance, dance in my head like Jesus said. He says on the front, and he will dance, and he will dance again to the inside, comfortably getting himself alongside both tyres. Now he's got front to rear as he's clear, and by the time he reaches the braking zone, is he going to have everything he wants? But watch out for Jack. Jack's gonna fly, and he just runs out of road in order to make his own move. He might be able to attack through the corner off the exit, but look at the way that these two are scrapping it out, side by side, back again on the outside. It's gonna be tough here at turn 1 to get it done if you're Dylan Freckleton, but the confidence is there. Does he push it out a little bit? It does mean that Fuentes can try around the outside here at turn 2, but it's not gonna happen.
Oh, and so close between the wing and the gearbox between Fuentes and Freckleton. We're getting a great onboard view of the battle from the caboose. Is Nathan Finnegan in 7th place. He's also just trying to kind of pick up the pieces here. Jack David Spickett with that lower downforce, he's not able to attack in these slower corners. I think it's more of a matter of a game of just trying to stay close, but Fuentes has excellent grip coming off of this Marc Marquez corner here.
Yep, through down here and trying to get as much drive as possible. This is now Marc Marquez as behind Finnegan's going to take full advantage of the lack of downforce then for one Mr. Jack David Spickett. Moves alongside with him as they reach on this straight. He's going to look across. He's going to say, yep, you can get alongside me as much as you like, but I've got power in my back pocket. I don't have to worry about that. Fuentes again will make the move to the inside, heading to 13 and 14. He's fully got that one sorted, but is he confident enough on the brakes? Finally, he's going to get it done, but watch that outside line and watch the narrowing off of the exit here from Dylan Freckleton. This time, I don't think he's going to be close enough to make that retaliatory move into turn number 1. He will just have to sit back. Oh, my word, Pepe Fuentes somehow keeps the car alive, and Freckleton lifts out of it, which makes 3 wide, not wanting to take the position that way. Someone who will take the position that way is Nathan Finnegan. What an opportunistic pass.
Heads up driving from Finnegan. He saw the miscommunication up front, took full advantage. Even Jack David Spickett was caught off a little out of that one. And tell you what, Finnegan just saw the door open, said, okay, I'll take it.
He will. He absolutely will. And now Fuentes trying to break away. Finnegan leaves the door open then for Freckleton to have a chance. He runs a little bit wide through that section. And Fuentes now has been given his license to break away in this field. Finnegan and Freckleton, the two Fs, are looking around each other and going, well, what can we do? We got JDS, we got Pepsi Man there behind, and he is running with everything he's possibly got. And now this is where he's going to look absolutely fantastic along this straight. Freckleton pulls out alongside, looking for the move, but watch out indeed. Here comes Jack. He's going to make it 3 wide on the straight. Oh, it's like watching a different class the way he moves by. That was comfortable.
Oh, man, I was waiting for that style of move to come from Jack David Spickett, and he was close enough coming out of that turn onto the back straightaway, and he took it 3 wide. I mean, he's got 12 miles an hour on his competitors.
Oh, but look at that down the inside. Dylan Freckleton with an almighty lunge to get that one sorted. Brilliant pass at 1. Nathan Finnegan is looking around and he's thinking that, okay, I was opportunistic last lap, but he pays for his hubris.
Well, and I think Dylan Freckleton, he's been warmed up in turn 1. I mean, how many times has he battled it down in there? So that's just another day, another lap for Freckleton.
another day at the office in terms of the way that he's been driving. Lap 9 here of 26. The lead at the front is 5 seconds to the good. But Juan Costa, Juho Reiner in second is keeping Jenna Preacher at bay. And there's a look from just behind the steering wheel of full confidence, the head shaking about with all of the bumps on this long back stretch, but it will not matter one bit. He is flying at the front, and he is doing so at a rate of knots that is very seldom seen in these sorts of races.
He's on another level. I mean, we've been watching the battles between other cars, and I mean, Juan Costa is clicking off 1 minute 25 second lap times as we watch Finnegan not quite close enough here. No other car on the racetrack is even touching the 125s. Juan consistently in them.
Yeah, he is flying at a pace that nobody else can match, it seems, at this point. Here comes the look from Nathan at turn 1, but guess who's the best on the brakes there? It is Dylan Freckleton, and nobody's going to match him into turn 1. If anyone can make a move on Dylan Freckleton at turn 1, I will eat my hat, because that is a very difficult place to make it happen. Pepe Fuentes is also being chased down here. JDS, Jack David Spickett, is doing a fantastic job of keeping one Mr. Fuentes back in check.
I think when you're driving a car like this right here, this Pepsi car, you just can't take too much from it. And it's really tough to do watching your competitors be very aggressive in some of these turns and knowing that you cannot do that. But you just have to take what the car will give you. And then once you get right here, I mean, it's just like you got a fishing pole and you're reeling them in.
Oh yes, and Jack David Spickett will get the perfect comparison here along this stretch. Look at it, already he's above the speeds, and they're not even finished turning yet. That's how quick his car is on a straight. So now Jack David Spickett reeling him in 295 kilometers an hour. He's got 13k, 14k, get over to 300, 15, 16 kilometers an hour on the straight. A long back straight here, which is well over a mile, is more than enough to close that gap up, but not enough as of yet to make the pass. But he is certainly staring at the Aragon colours on the underside of that wing, thinking, how do I make a pass? Speaking of which, Finnegan thinking, but nowhere now. Curve over the anti-cut curve. Nathan Finnegan's given a freebie of an opportunity here. I wonder how much underside damage there is there on Dylan Freckleton. That would have been a scary moment.
You took the words right out of my mouth. It's not necessarily the mistake, but it's the possibility of the damage that Freckleton just did to his car. I don't think we're going to really see it through the slower sections, but going to see possibly the top end speed suffer from that mistake in turn 1.
Yeah, and this was just a little bit afterwards as he was fighting about with the car, trying to get as much as he could out of it. There it was, Dylan Freckleton, trying to look behind and see someone like Nathan Finnegan make that move. I think he's okay, but you have to remember as well that these cars are very highly strung in the sense that these are the forefathers to the modern Formula car with ground effect.
And if you damage that underside, that ground effect, you don't even see it. It's not visual damage that you can see on the outside of the race car. And here we go. Finnegan officially in the slipstream. I'm seeing 5 miles an hour faster. He's going to look down to the inside. And I think Freckleton knows that he might have an injured car.
He might do, but he might not know when to quit. As he tries to hang around the outside, he's going to fight off of the exit here. Overlap is there for Nathan Finnegan, but he'll try again on the outside. Will Dylan Freckleton, has he got enough bravery on the brakes here to make it slingshot around the outside? They'll fight again through 2 and 3, and again, Dylan Freckleton is the maestro when it comes to turn 1.
Well, Jake, do you have your hat over there? Because I think I need to take a bite out of it after that one.
I think you might. And there's a mistake, though, going through turn 5. That might open the door up for Finnegan here. Through 6, into 7. Opens up the door inside, but the late turn through, the cut of the corner, very much favours there at that section Dylan Freckleton, which gives him that advantage at turns 8 and now down the hill in through turn 9, sliding away behind the wall, and down and away he will go. That very much as easy as you could possibly like it, but now this is where the slipstream once again is going to start paying, and why this is a very much a tandem circuit. Nathan Finnegan, thank you very much, moving back to the inside.
And I'm curious, is Freckleton going to challenge around the outside like he did last time? It certainly seems like it. He's posturing to go as late as possible on the brakes, and once again, really carrying the momentum around the final turn here. It tightens up a little bit, but just great respect between Finnegan and Freckleton. And here we go, another duel into one.
Finnegan, at this point, is slightly slower on the front end, but it is Freckleton who has that top-end speed and the commitment under braking. Again, he holds it around the outside, and again, he maintains that position. I think Nathan's going to have to get his elbows out here and start dictating tempo and where he wants that car. He is leaving a little bit too much room for Dylan Freckleton. I think he's going to have to get a little bit nasty.
And not only that, but sometimes you just have to try different stuff on the racetrack. Even if you know it's not going to work, maybe don't take that pass in the inside into the final turn. Maybe make Freckleton think, hey, well, what's he doing back there? Do I need to change something too?
Yes, and it's all about showing that body language with your car that often is so forgotten from drivers as they go out in the race, because you sell so much in terms of how far back your car is and what you are doing with it. And that is the key here for Nathan Finnegan. If he tries the same thing over and over and over again, doing the same thing twice and expecting a different result is madness out on track. This time he starts to pinch a little more, moves back across to the middle of the circuit though, and again you'll see this time he gets it all wrong. Oh, he gets it so squarely under the brakes and he slides it off on that runoff, and that was him pushing a little bit too hard.
And yeah, just unfortunate there. And you said he was going to have to try to get his elbows out. I think he just got a little bit too deep into the brake zone. Remember, Freckleton had been charging and really challenging him there, and I think he was trying to take away that line. Unfortunately, went a little bit too far with it.
I think he did. I think he outbroke himself, and I think he was trying to play Dylan's game and failed at it. There is JDS, Jack David Spickett. Started the race in 7th position, now up into 5th, eyeing up 4th, but is finding out the difficulties of his setup. He cannot get close enough on the run on the straight to make the moves on Pepe Fuentes because he's struggling so much with the downforce.
But I'll give it to him. This is actually the closest he's been in the last handful of laps. He's been about 0.9, 1.1 second coming out onto the straightaway. Well, guess what? It was only 0.7 of a second coming out here. Look at him start to reel it in.
Oh yes, second by second, 10th by 10th. Look out, Mr. Fuentes, because here comes JDS. He flies on through as Pepe starts to blink about. Will try and hold around the outside because he'll have better downforce, but will he have enough momentum to absolutely slingshot in through the opening section of the track? We'll have a little think once to the inside, lifts out of it, and JDS comfortably now has that 4th position in his sight.
And this is the point that Jack David Spickett just has to take a deep breath, not try to get too much from the car. Realize Fuentes is going to be all over your gearbox. He might even pass you in this first half a lap, but that's okay. You know you've got a dominant car when it comes to that straightaway. Just don't burn up those rear tires. You see him already starting to pinch these entries, trying to defend. Just let it race. Let it happen.
I'll tell you what, it's taken him about 3 turns in some of the corners to try and get that pinched in. He is really fighting to try and keep someone like Fuentes ahead, but this is where he starts to get that advantage, and this is where Pepe Fuentes will look and say, did I get this slightly wrong? Because look at this on the speed. Jack David Spickett now on the top. Pepe Fuentes is trying to reel that in, and at the moment, Jack David Spickett is ever so slightly quicker in a straight line. Look at him, the time's going up.
Yep, I'm seeing 184 miles an hour here by himself. That's him pushing all of that air, not even in the draft. Pepe Fuentes is just kind of throwing a rope on him right now, saying, hey, can I get some of that?
Answer's no, you can't get some of that, Pepe, and that's because your car is not streamlined enough to have some of that to make that move. Through the opening corners, he's going to have to do something a little bit untoward. I reckon turn 7 is the place where Pepe's going to get it done, if he is to get it done in the opening sections of the track.
And it's almost like throwing something that you know is going to get taken back, because even if you do pass him in this section, he's just going to get you right back on the straightaway. I think this is all coming down to Jack David Spickett, honestly, because Pepe Fuentes can keep this. Here we go. He's going to look to the inside.
He's going to look, but he's then got nothing as he hits up through third and fourth gears. So that will allow Jack David Spickett to defend off of the exit of any corner. The issue that Pepe's going to have is he ever going to get close enough to make a low standing? So who's that off there in the side in the background? That looks like lap traffic, and it is. It's Gerard Boldu who finds himself around.
Unfortunately, Gerard Boldu had an earlier incident in the first handful of laps too. I know that's probably not the race that he's looking for today.
No, it probably isn't the race he wants, but there is Jack David Spickett again pulling away, doing what is necessary, doing what he must, as fastest laps of plenty get thrown in by Juanmi Costa at the front of this field. Already we're down to just 10 laps to go in this race, and this race for fourth and fifth is quite frankly one of the closest out there on the track. That's why we've been with it for so long, as Jack David Spickett again holds off Pepe Fuentes out there in terms of where he is on circuit. The other battle to keep in mind will be Miguel Morland versus Sam Reinman, and that gap in and around the second is going to be questioning whether either of those two have enough to beat each other. Look at the slide through the corner. Opportunity knocks then for Pepe Fuentes. Turn 7 comes up, searches down for that inside, and there's no angle there. He's found the mistake out of him. Brilliant car positioning by Pepe.
And this is what I was talking about, Jake. I think that this battle is going to come down to Jack David Spickett, because Pepe Fuentes, with his downforce, with his grip, has the confidence. He can do these laps, lap after lap, but it's up to this driver right here to manage his rear tires, manage those mistakes, because ultimately he does have a faster racing car, maybe not in terms of a lap time by himself, but when it comes to the race, it is faster.
It is. You just look, he's already going to go by. It's like watching the Fast and Furious and they have 18 different nitrous buttons.
Yeah, a little bit. Danger to manifold, just slam that laptop shut.
Oh, yes. And that means that, again, Jack David Spickett maintains the fourth position in this race. They pulled out 4 seconds over Dylan Freckleton and Javier Mosquera now in 7th. It's all just plain sailing in terms of where everyone's found themselves. And this has been the sort of race where everybody's had a slightly different pace level to everyone else. That's why these gaps have opened up. It's nothing to do with the way that the circuit races. It's just the fact that everyone on a circuit that is a little bit newer compared to some of the others out there, Joey, are trying to find their feet.
I think the key word you said there is it's newer. This Lotus 79 series, it hasn't ever come here before. It's new to the service. So I think you're going to see varying levels of how you attack this race, how you approach the race car with the setup, and it provides some great racing.
It does. Down the hill once again. Look at the drive off the exit here. Pepe's going to try and sneak up the inside at Marc Marquez, get that pass sorted, and absolutely does. But for how long? Well, just count 3, 4, 5 seconds, 6 seconds. Well, there it goes.
And you notice what Pepe did? He didn't even fight it. He just pulled off to the side of the road. He probably put his hand out the window and was like, yep, just go on by. I get it.
Yeah, falls back into the slipstream to try and mitigate any of the damage that is being done in terms of their battling, but there is nothing that can be done in terms of making that move, and this will infuriate Pepe Fuentes in terms of how he has to try and win this one, because he's got to do it in a car that races a little bit worse out there, and the prime place to stay ahead. He's just got nothing to fight with in terms of what's there from the engine and the downforce that allows him to do that.
And I'm actually getting some interesting notes here behind the scene from Michael DeTurk. Looks like we're going to be having a similar layout, but it will include that GP chicane. So even though we're having a race here at Aragon right now, you're going to have to throw away the notebook on the setup when you come back here.
Oh yes, because there's different layouts around here, and I think they're going to try and throw it. Fuentes getting close again, but not close enough in the mock-up Fernando Alonso helmet. Down the hill, oh, you can see every time it's a scrap to try and get that car stopped down through the hill there for Jack David Spickett. And look at that, the difference in downforce is a sight to behold. And because there's a check-up from Fuentes, it means that the sign of Pepsi starts to go even further away.
So let me ask you this, Jake. If you are Pepe Fuentes right now, where do you pass Jack David Spickett to keep this position?
Turn one. And it's gonna sound really weird because that's coming off of the place where you've got all of the ability to lose out everything you've got. It has to either be turn one or turn five. It's got to be somewhere where you can chain a couple of corners together in order to break away. The issue that he's going to run into is that he's going to struggle to hold on with the top speed that's there. He's going to spend all of his time trying to chase this back up again, and he has the ability to do that over the first half of the lap. It's got to be either turn one or here through 4 and 5. That's the only two places I can see a move being done that gives the gap that's needed, and that mistake won't help.
No, it's not going to help because I tell you, if Fuentes loses the slipstream here on the back straightaway, it's going to be tough going. He's not going to get that help, and JDS is just going to continue to pull away. But look at this grip. He's already got it back within 3/4 of a second. So just incredible confidence out of the tires, out of the downforce that Pepe Fuentes has. It's going to be a tough mountain because if you pass him in turn one, that means you have to be on him coming out of the final corner. How are you on him coming out of the final corner when you have this mega straightaway right before it?
No, that's very true. As Juanmi Costa puts a 25-1 down on the board, and this is where Jack David Spickett can run away. There is the Hyper X car of Sam Reinman as he looks from Club Florida against Miguel Morland just in front. Behind that, Barry West has mirrors full of Tim Britton, which will be for position and a move for 11th place. Now here goes the target car against the Parmalat machine. How do you find a way to get through? Britain moving across to the outside, both very even in terms of their top speed. So this is a drag race like you're doing a full mile and looking to try and make sure that you find that left-hand turn with comfort, and that is comfortably done there by one Mr. Barry West. The F2 Championship leader is showing an amazing amount of resolve here in his scrap with Tim Britton over this 11th place.
And you mentioned the scrap here, and then also Miguel and Sam right up ahead of him. Tim Britton, we saw his mistake early on in turn one, so he's trying to work his way up through this, but this is a scrap for that F2 championship, so Barry not going to give an inch on the racetrack. He's trying to reel in the two cars in front.
He is. He absolutely is. But the question is, if he can reel them in, he's got to make sure he's not being held up through 6 and into 7. He's going to try and go around the outside here. Very difficult to do that at turn 7. Has he worked up some room? Yes, he has. So now he's got to go around the outside of 8 to get it done. That will open him up for the inside of 9. Oh, fantastic. Tim Britton with a beautiful pass.
What an excellent over-under around the outside, then use the compression, and oh, hey, look at this. Jack David Spickett around the final turn. All of a sudden, Fuentes in front going into turn 1, Jake.
Oh, he's lost a lot of time, and we'll see where. And the answer is, it's coming out of 6, 5 and 6. It's where it's gone wrong. You've got a big wiggle out of 5, and that's where he lost the position. So Jack David Spickett with a mistake, now going to have to work hard to get that back. So he knows one thing, and that one thing is very, very simple. He can't afford to waste time because Pepe Fuentes now is trying to drive away from him.
And remember when I talked about how I think it was going to be up to JDS in that battle? Well, with 5 laps to go, I'm pretty sure he's used up all of the tire underneath him. He's starting to struggle more.
Speaking of which, Tim Britton finding himself around for the 2nd time today, and it was on the back of Barry West heading through the final corners, 13 and 14. Do not count them out for granted and do not take them for that, and he just hits the inside curb, completely unsettles the car, and it's not a good year because he finds out that those tires are hyperheated.
You mentioned the ground effects and how much grip it provides these cars. Well, when you launch them in the air, that ground effect all goes away. That's an example of when you lose all the grip.
Absolutely, and it's not the case of that you just lose it. It's the fact that you get it back in almost twice as much when you get that ground effect to land back when you're on the floor.
Well, and then it starts to oscillate. You better have the right spring and shock combo at that point. It's just a mess.
It can be. Miguel Morland still holding off San Ryman. This is now for 9th and 10th places here. in this race, driving absolutely fantastic race, the pair of them, but Sam's going to have to try and work hard here. Miguel Morland has been driving a really nice race from Club UK&I. He knows right now that he's got the gap that's wanted, and you look at the differences in terms of these laps. Miguel Morland's having to run personal best laps to hold him off.
I was just noticing that myself. I mean, his best lap, a 127.61. His last lap, a 127.61. And they are different laps, folks. It is not the same lap. It is separated by, I'm seeing about 5/1000ths of a second.
Yeah, so the difference is plain to see out there at this point, but that you can sense is a case of these drivers are as evenly matched as you can possibly get. Driving down the hill from 7 into turn 8 now and looking to try and carry that momentum through the difficult turn number 9. The car wants to squirrel away from you and try and find the path of least resistance like a river running through 10 and looking towards turn 11 right now. Sam Ryman knows he's got to find the magic formula that gets that move sorted, and can he fall into the slipstream enough to close down that gap? Miguel Morland's only hitting 280 on the straight. Ryman has a couple Ks advantage, but a couple Ks aren't going to get it done. And you know that. It's a mix, kind of like some Special K. You're going to have to try and sort out through the different bits of the cereal and avoid the bits of granola.
Yeah, I love that analogy there, but yes, Sam Ryman is going to have to do something, and it's a little frustrating not being able to make up that ground in the straightaway. I know a lot of these drivers are using that community setup, and they're going to be pretty similar in those top speeds.
As that's happening, it's on as well for 7th place on the road. Nathan Finnegan all over the back of Javier Mosquera, trying to find that pass to get him back into the 7th position that he lost with his mistake at the final corner a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. 2 laps to go for your race leader, but the setup now for Nathan Finnegan, who has been struggling in the speed trap all day long, is how does he find the pass on the number 7?
Well, you get in the slipstream, you see what his downforce levels are like, and you just use the toe as much as you can. Like you see right here, get sucked up all the way to the gearbox, poke your car out on the driver's left, the benefiting line going into this final turn.
Easy got everything he needs. He slightly brakes better, but Mosquera trying to run around the outside as he absolutely drives it. Oh my word, Nathan! Small mistake through the corner, got himself a little bit pinched, lost the rear end, and very nearly lost Javier Mosquera in the mix as well in the Persona 3 car. That very much was a dance that was beautifully constructed by Mosquera. He had one Mr. Nathan Finnegan stuck in the midnight hour.
And look at this, Jake. Remember, this was the battle that fell apart. Pepe Fuentes was able to run away, but that's not going to help the case of Jack David Spickett. I wonder if he has officially lost his rear tires, but watch this, 1.4 seconds. I'm wondering how much he closes it in. He's been within half a second at the end of the straightaway.
He has 1.4, now 1.3, and look at it, it's just going to keep going and going and going. He'll soon get that hit of slipstream as he's fully in it. 1.1, now 1 second. It's probably going to be about 9/10 of a second as he hits the braking point, 8.5, as he actually drives it into the corner. But he is fighting against his machine as the last lap starts, and I think he might be a bit too far back with the technical opening sections of this lap to get himself back into mix. Mosquera, though, still has stuff to worry about behind, as there is your leader, Juanmi Costa, absolutely dominant as he drives it down through at turn 9. Here goes Nathan Finnegan. He's been shown a masterclass as Barney waves the white flag of how to make an overtake at turn 1. He'll take advantage of the lessons he learned from Dylan Freckleton. He'll make the move, and he'll get it done on Mosquera, but Mosquera now can sit in and wait for his chance for Juanmi Costa as he drives on that back stretch, looks for everything he possibly can. It's been a mistake for Ryman. He is outside now of the top 10. Costa will come to the final couple corners as he will look to take probably the most important win of his season so far. He didn't just beat everyone today, he destroyed them. That was class from Juan Costa. Nobody could hold a candle in the wind to them. Rhino will be second, Freakser will be third, Jack David Spickett's too far away in terms of fourth and fifth, and I think it's just fallen away for Mosquera as well. There's Juho Räihä. What a second place finish for him, Joey.
Just a little bit of a lonely race, really, for both of these second and third place finishers of Gernot Frische in second place of Juha Räihä. But Pepe Fuentes, out of the final corner, was able to hold off the late race charge. That low downforce setup from Jack David Spickett fell off a little bit at the end.
It did, and that was always going to be the gamble, how the tyres go. Dylan Freckleton wasn't a million miles away either, heading towards the line. Finnegan looks like he is going to hold that position, provided he doesn't run too wide off of the final corner, incur a slow down penalty. He gets that done ahead of Javier Mosquera in the Persona 3 car, so that then all sorts itself out. Miguel Morland then finds himself through, and now there'll be a battle here on the final lap, because Jason Clapper here has a bit of side-by-side, or did for a moment, with Tim Britton, who broke a lot earlier into the corner, and that will mean that Jason will hold on for that place. Sam Ryman, with a spin with a couple of laps to go, basically puts him way down the order in terms of his due process for the race. But we're going to step aside for just one moment here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Post-race fallout here from Motorland Aragon is here after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
There are some tracks that just click with certain drivers, and they say when you're on home soil, you gain a little bit of pace. And that is the case for Juanmi Costa here today. He obliterated everybody in terms of action today, and did so in a time of 37 minutes and 8 seconds. His margin of victory was 12.3 come the end of the race over Juho Räihä, the Finn, with Gernot Frische ending up in third position. Another solid display from him. Pepe Fuentes would end up in fourth. He would have to fight all race long with Jack David Spickett, whose decision to go on the quicker setup on top speed backfired at the end of the race when he had no rear tyres. Dylan Freckleton would end up sixth ahead of Nathan Finnegan in seventh, with Javier Mosquera eighth, Miguel Morland finding ninth position, and capitalising on a spin by Sam Ryman late on with a lap and a bit to go, Barry West would round out the top 10.
In 11th place position, we have our biggest mover of the race, Jason Clapper. Then Tim Britton, we highlighted the couple of problems that he had during today's race. Finishes in the 12th spot. Sam Ryman, that late race issue, finishes 13th. Cam Porter, I believe, our first car, one lap down, does cross the finish line in 14th. And then, unfortunately for Gerard Baldoux, Keith Herner, and Timothy Reed, all DNF's problems on the racetrack today.
Yeah, there were certainly some significant problems out there for your championship leader. He now cedes that back over to the driver I'm with now, Juanmi Costa, picking up the race win. Juanmi, those are the races that you dream of. The fact that you get an opportunity, you have all the pace, you've got all the ability to break away after the opening lap, and you weren't challenged from that point onwards. A comfortable victory for you.
Yeah, it's not easy with this condition, super slippery, and knowing that the guy behind has better top speed than you, and the guy behind him had better top speed than both of them. it's hard to break away, but make it work.
You made it work. Not only did you make it work here today, but you take back control of the championship lead after what happened to you last week at Phillip Island. How important was it for you to make a statement here at Motorland Aragon?
Yes, important for me not making mistakes with the paddles last week. I don't know why it downshifted 2 years instead of one and made me a snap on the rear. And I don't know why, if it's a misshift from me or for the hardware. So happy to have an easy race.
Well, an easy race here might not be so much next time out. You head over to the Circuit of the Americas. As that as a circuit, as effectively a melting pot of absolutely everything out there in terms of racing, do you feel like with the way that you've been going over the last couple of seasons that you have all the tools in your arsenal to take the challenge there as well?
I think so. I like a lot the Kota because it's on a little bit selfish because it was the place where I got my first win on the Sunday GP. And I quite like a lot with another cars too, also with the Lotus 79. So it's gonna be a great week, I think.
It's a special place to go back to. Juan Meat, the floor is yours. Anybody you'd like to thank after victory here today in Aragon?
Thank you to the broadcast guys, as always. And Juho, congrats to the podium, well-deserved podium, and Gernot also.
No worries at all there.
Thank you.
No worries. Juanmi Costa joining us and picking up a big victory in terms of the championship complexion. Speaking of championships, though, let's talk F2 championship for a moment. Joey Atterbury has walked down virtual pit lane, and he's found himself with Barry West.
Yeah, Barry West coming home with a top 10 today. I know you are locked in that F2 championship battle. How did you feel today went for you?
Could you hear me okay?
Yes, we got you loud and clear, Barry.
Yeah, I wasn't very confident this week at all. I only started practicing recently, and I went down the low downforce route. So I knew I was getting slaughtered at the slow downhill chicane every lap. But I seemed to find a better line today, so I picked up a bit more pace. But yeah, I spent most of the race trying to catch Sam and Miguel up. And I got to within 1.3 seconds, and then Tim caught me up, and we had to have a little battle. So, yeah, I could have pulled him along a bit. We could have worked together there, but then Sam dropped it in the last corner, which is a real shame for him. But he had a good race, and Miguel had a brilliant race. It was good fun.
Yeah, I think that all of you guys are smiling after that, especially since all of you are locked in that F2 championship. And since we are brand new to Aragon here, what did you feel of the racetrack and what you saw?
It divides because it's either low or high downforce, and you get crucified on the straight. I think if the straight was slowed down, the chicane, I think if the GP circuit was used, it might be a bit more closer to, everybody would go the same route then. But I tried JDS's setup, and I was getting 180 odd mile an hour out of it, and everybody else was only doing 178. So, but once you lose a toe, you're chicken feed sort of thing. So it's quite an exciting track actually. I mean, I must admit it's very tricky conditions today, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Well, let's keep the theme on the championship. Looking forward, you have Kota, Olton, Suzuka, and Long Beach left. How is your confidence level finishing out this season?
Suzuka, yeah, I enjoy. Kota, not so much, not very strong there. What were the other two you said?
Olton Park and Long Beach.
Oh, Olton Park. I love Olton Park. So yeah, 2 out of the 4, I suppose. I'm quite happy with, and I've got a few to drop anyway. So yeah, that hopefully should see me through.
Awesome. Well, hopefully, good luck on that championship, Barry. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
Well, you guys doing such a great job, and JDS for the setup this week.
Well, that was Barry West, your F2 championship points leader, coming home with a top 10 today.
Yeah, coming home with the top 10, doing a great job. Last driver we'll get a chance to talk to is Cam Porter, first of the drivers a lap down. Cam, difficult showcase out there today, but it's a track that everyone was trying to sort of work around and see what they had available.
That was a kind of lonely race for me, obviously. I'm certainly not fast in this car, and I was on the track for the first time today. I bought this track at the beginning of the season because it's new for this season and never raced it until today. So this is my first race here, and it certainly didn't help my pace. Sometimes I feel like I'm in a different car than these guys. They just drive away from me like they're in a different class. But, I understand. I'm not very quick in this car, and just tried to focus on staying safe today.
Well, the understanding of what makes this car very different to, say, the other things that you drive in the week is very plain to see. Car's got a lot of torque. Car's dealing with ground effect and the downforce that you got through, and is very highly strung if you pick up a little bit of damage. Do you feel like the challenge of this car for someone, say, for example, who's picking this up for the first time or is looking around at this series thinking, okay, I might decide I want to jump in for it, what do you think your experience of driving this car would suggest to someone who is looking at this for the first time?
Well, this series in particular, I feel like this is one of the series where the gentlemen go to race. And this car, I feel, is pretty easy to drive, but it's very difficult to drive fast, like get the most out of it. Obviously, I don't struggle too much with keeping the car pointed straight, although once I get in battles, I tend to back the car into corners. But overall, I think the car is pretty easy to just jump in and drive. Just, difficult to get the most out of it.
Well, we hope that you get the most out of it next time that you're with us over at the Circuit of the Americas. Cam Porter there joining us and getting a 14th place finish for the Troubles.
Thanks, Jake.
Well, Joey, that then will bring us to a close, but I want to get your thoughts into the final 4 rounds of the season. Circuit of the Americas is the great all-round circuit, and it is that track which is very much a love-hate circuit, because it is just a cut-up, some would say, of every great corner that's ever existed.
I've got a lot of laps around that place myself, and more around in a sports car, and I'll say it's one of the most technically and most physically grueling racetracks you will have to drive here in North America, because if you mess up in one section, it just feeds right into the next. There's not a whole lot of breaks at that racetrack, so you got to be on top of your game every single corner, every sector, every lap at COTA. It will separate some drivers.
As we take a little look at the big red there for just the briefest of moments, that is where we're going to be 1 week from today. Make sure you mark that down in your calendar and make sure that you're with us here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Want to thank the entire team for getting it done here today, from Joey, from Ryan, and from Dougie. You can catch all of our social medias, and as well where you can catch us and have a little bit of conversation, be it our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram, and our Discord as well. You can catch us, of course, on YouTube and Twitch. Like, follow, share, do all those things. Those things are fun. It means that you get to see more racing, and it means that we get to show more racing to more people, which is absolutely fantastic here with the Global SimRacing Channel. In terms of what we have coming up, we do have COTA that jumps on through, and we do have events on the horizon like Porsche's Owners Club over on Monday, the 7th of August. But until next time, with a championship now firmly in the hands of Juanmi Costa, race clean, race hard, and we will see you at the Circuit of the Americas.